Being consistent is not about willpower or discipline. It's about having a plan for those days when you're low energy, your body is tweaky or achy, or you're stressed and busy. When you approach consistency as a willpower or discipline problem, you tend to push harder at the very moment you want to be more tender. It becomes a vicious cycle of working against your body instead of working with your body. Today, I'll share my low energy protocol. These are 3 specific skills I've developed over the years to stay in the game. Let's go. Most people would consider me deadly consistent. But my consistency is not willpower, it's not even discipline. It's a relationship I have developed with my body. So I can read what's going on inside and respond with whatever movement practice I'm doing. This means I get stronger from setbacks, I'm able to maintain momentum, and I don't push myself to that place of burnout where I develop distaste for what I'm doing and then I fall off the wagon and beat myself up for it. I developed these 3 skills over many years of practice. You can learn them in just a few minutes. With each one, there was a moment in time, a very specific circumstance where I really got it. And I'm going to give you those stories because stories are sticky, and use them to guide you next time something comes up. Resist thinking that this is a personality trait I have. It is not, I promise you. It is a skill. And I'm very good at it with the body, with movement practices, still working on it in other areas of life. Skill number 1 is movement as medicine. Use whatever movement practice you're doing to respond to what's occurring in your body. You want to be agile and adaptive with your movement practices, not rigid, dogmatic. Another way to say it is don't be a dictator or an authoritarian with your body. Instead, be in a conversation, a deep, intimate relationship with your body. Here's how I learned this. Years ago, when I started practicing yoga, I didn't have a lot of money. I had just moved from Chicago to Maui, and I had this insatiable hunger for the practice, so I started reading books. I started with Light on Yoga by B.K.S. Iyengar, The Heart of Yoga by Desi Kachar, and Jivamukti Yoga by David Life and Sharon Gannon. In Jivamukti Yoga, they said if you really want to understand this practice, you have to practice every day. So I decided I was going to practice every day. And very quickly, things came up, like how to practice on my period, how to practice when I had a headache, how to practice when my low back was achy. Lucky for me, the other books I was reading, Light on Yoga and The Heart of Yoga, are using yoga as a therapeutic modality. In those books, movements, poses, practices are prescribed for certain ailments or physical limitations. And I took it all very literally. I was experimenting, exploring, trying things. These were the good old days before YouTube and social media, so I could not Google what do you do for a headache or how to practice during your period. I had to experiment and explore in my own body. This experimentation and exploration led to a very strong relationship of listening and responding to the needs of my body through movement and through practice. This skill really helped me when more acute things occurred. For example, one time I was hiking and I sprained my ankle very badly. I could barely put any weight on it, but I had a commitment to practice every day. So I would practice with my feet against the wall and do very small movements with my feet and my toes and watched how that rippled through my body. So I was limited in what I could do, but the experience became expansive in terms of what I learned. Similar but different, years later, I had a serious back injury. I subluxated a vertebra, it pinched a nerve. I was in bed for weeks. I almost gave up on my practice because I had this weird sense that yoga should have saved me or prevented that from happening. But because of the commitment I made years ago, I found a way to continue practicing. And in the beginning, my practice was all about just standing and finding ways to orient my body so there was no pain, and then walking, and then long holds and simple poses. And again, what seemed like a setback propelled me forward in a beautiful and powerful way. I became better because of it. Now, almost 20 years later, I'm able to take this same skill into strength training. For example, if my low back feels a little tweaky or off because of traveling or too much sitting, when I'm at the gym, I am looking for movements that will help stabilize and strengthen my lower back. Another example, when my left wrist got injured, I used strength training as rehab. I found movements where I could activate all the stabilizers that I was missing. I even found pockets of inactivity in my left shoulder that probably contributed to my wrist taking more of the load. Now, does this require some knowledge of alignment and anatomy? A little bit, but less than you think. It's more about listening and responding to your body. And learning a little bit of alignment and anatomy is well worth your curiosity. You live in your body your whole life. But many of us have no idea of the miracle that is our physical form. So when something comes up, your body is achy or tweaky or something is a little bit off, you can use your movement practice as medicine. Whether it's yoga or Pilates or strength training, you can become stronger and better through what seems like a setback, and better in terms of knowledge and relationship, clarity, and connection with your own body. Key number 2 is use your breathing as an energy-giving dial. Some workouts and activities drain you or ramp you up and then deplete you. Here's how I learned this. Around 2014, I started practicing Ashtanga. And Ashtanga is a set sequence practice. So you do the same thing day in, day out. I gave myself the challenge of practicing the primary sequence for 90 days straight. I ended up going for like 130. But shortly into this challenge, I realized I did not program any rest days, any breaks. And I was feeling really depleted, exhausted, drained. Instead of scrapping the practice, I asked this question: how do I do this in a way that energizes me? And what I found was I could dial my breathing so the practice actually gave me energy. Your breathing is a powerful tool for so many layers of your body. For example, it generates stability and true core. It balances the branches of your nervous system, and you can adjust and calibrate your breathing so it actually gives you energy. The most effective way to do that is breathe first and move second. It's like the body starts to ride the wave of your breathing. Most of the time, we move first and breathe second. When you're breathing first and moving second, it's like your breathing carries the body. Your breathing changes the distribution of your effort, your nervous system state, and can even create a faster recovery pace. So whenever you're feeling low energy, use your breathing as an energy-giving dial. This becomes doubly true in a movement practice. When students do this, especially if they come to class and they say, I almost didn't come, I'm exhausted, I'm depleted, I'm a puddle on the floor. When they use their breathing to direct their moving, they feel energized and replenished after practice, like better than a nap. Key number 3 is the creation question. How can I? This became really potent for me when I got married and became a stepmom, because my life got so much fuller and more dynamic almost instantly. Before that, I was in single lady with a dog existence, and my biggest problem on the weekends was what to do with all my free time. Suddenly, there was so much more going on, even just in terms of bodies and noise and momentum in the house. And for the first few months, I really struggled to maintain my practices because I was so used to having more time, more silence, more space. Eventually, I became more agile and nimble. Instead of thinking, I can't, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have the space, I started asking a very different question, which is, how can I? Here's the funniest thing about this. Those practices and sessions I squeeze in when it seems almost impossible are actually more satisfying and empowering than those when I have an abundance of time and energy and resources. Kind of feels like pulling a rabbit out of your hat. So when you find yourself stressed, pressed for time. Life has gotten really busy. Resist trying to carve out that perfect time and place and shape for your yoga or your Pilates or your gym workout. Instead, work with what you have. If you have 10 minutes, do 10 minutes. If you have 2 minutes, do 2 minutes, but do something to preserve your identity of someone who does something, someone who is consistent and maintain that momentum. I've gotten my stepfamily chops over the years, but just recently we got a puppy and this skill set became very alive again. Just last week, I woke up late, the puppy was a little bit crazy, and I couldn't get to the gym, but I wanted to do something. So I did some releasing work, some foundational core work at the wall, and then a little bit of movement with a kettlebell, and I felt amazing. Again, when you don't have the ideal conditions, it can feel heroic to do something. So instead of that refrain of I can't and then feeling defeated or grumpy about it, ask the creation question. How can I? What can I do in the time with the resources and space I have? And you might be surprised at how satisfying that becomes. With all 3 of these skills, I'm often asking these questions. What does my body need right now? What do I need most in this moment? What would move the needle? What would change my state? Sometimes these questions ask me to do something different than what I was planning or envisioning. These 3 skills keep me going and keep me consistent, but I also have some powerful resets in my back pocket. For example, if my body's achy, tweaky, or really out of sorts, my best tool is what I call a releasing practice. This is a combination of rolling and somatic releasing work. You can try one of these. There's a psoas releasing practice that is a companion to this podcast. If I'm really low energy, but want to feel stronger, more stable, more centered, then I do foundational core work at the wall. This gets my breathing going, sets up an internal support system. It's also low energy expenditure and tends to replenish my energy reserves. There's a 10-minute core work at the wall practice that you can do here on YouTube. If I'm really pressed for time, but I need a state shift, I want to be and feel different because I don't know about you, but I do not like the person I become when I'm stressed and rushed. Then I do old school yoga, pumping, pulsing, moving, and breathing. Half sun salutes are a good example of this. If you want a full practice like this, look at Beauty and Blessings in the 20-Minute Miracle Toolkit. Last but not least, I have a bad day rule. If I'm really low energy, I feel like doing nothing, I'm pressed for time, and I do something, I consider whatever I do a win, a huge victory. And when you celebrate that internally, it changes your neurochemistry. It helps you become that person who is consistent. And consistency, again, not a personality trait. It's your ability to manage your energy and be in conversation and relationship with your body. And when you're in conversation and relationship with your body, you are responsive and agile and nimble and resilient. So use these. Use your movement as medicine. Use your breathing as an energy-giving dial. And use the creation question, how can I? Let me know which one of these you use most. Does this take the pressure off being consistent? Does it give you a plan for sticking with it? May you stay in the game. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching.